Have you ever looked at someone you once laughed with, cried with, shared everything with, and suddenly realized they feel like a stranger? You're in the same room. They're just inches away. But it feels like there's a wall between your hearts. You talk, but it's small talk. You smile, but it's forced. You sleep next to each other, but the warmth is gone. What happened? Where did the connection go? And can it ever come back? This story isn't just about heartbreak. It's about that invisible distance, the one that sneaks in when love goes quiet. And the courage it takes to either rebuild or walk away. If you've ever loved someone who slowly slipped away while still being right beside you, this story is for you. Let's begin. We were in the same room. But worlds apart. He was lying right next to me, but it felt like I was alone in that bed. I stared at the ceiling, trying to remember the last time he reached for my hand in the dark. I couldn't. There was a time when just hearing his voice could make my worst days better. Now, we barely talk unless it's about bills or groceries. And the worst part? He didn't even notice we were drifting. I did. And I felt it every single day. I remember when he used to ask how my day was, and actually listen to the answer. He'd make tea for me without asking, just because I looked tired. He'd kiss my forehead in the middle of a random sentence, like he couldn't help it. That man feels like someone I used to know now. Dinner is just quiet. I speak less. Not because I have nothing to say, but because it feels like no one's listening. I started crying in the bathroom, with the water running so he wouldn't hear. I didn't want him to feel guilty. I didn't want to start another fight. But I missed him. I missed us. And I didn't know how to say that without sounding too emotional. So instead of blaming him, I started trying to understand him. I read books, watched videos, prayed, and realized something painful but true. Sometimes, people don't grow distant because they stop loving you, they grow distant because life numbs them. Stress, exhaustion, pride. Silence becomes their way of coping. So I changed my approach. Not for him. For us. I started saying thank you even when he barely did anything, just to remind him he still mattered. I touched his shoulder gently when I walked by, even if he didn't look up. And instead of asking, "Why are you so cold lately?" I said, "Is there something I can do to make things easier for you?" He didn't change overnight. But one evening, he sat next to me on the couch. No phone. No TV. Just silence. And then, he reached for my hand. He didn't say much. But he squeezed it. Gently. Like he remembered something too. I've learned that love doesn't always leave in a storm. Sometimes, it slips away slowly, unnoticed, until one day, you wake up and feel like strangers. But distance can be healed, not with demands, but with presence. With patience. With quiet effort. With love that chooses to try even after comfort becomes silence. He still doesn't say much. But last night, he looked at me like he used to, and for the first time in a long time. I felt seen.